sports and culture.
Congratulations, guys, on the Philadelphia Phillies 2024 NL East Division title. Let's go.
Hey, someone had to take the title.
Wait.
Someone had to do it.
Why aren't you clapping, Sistad?
Not going to do it. We'll never prematurely celebrate anything. And I think you know that, knowing my superstitions over our many years of being friends.
It's over.
And it's not over. There has been bigger collapses.
You know, there was also an earthquake in New Jersey a couple months ago. Do you wake up every morning thinking there's going to be an earthquake?
I don't.
No, you don't. No, exactly. For those of you that don't know what I'm referring to, it's Wednesday, August 21st at the time of recording this. The Philadelphia Phillies have a 6-game lead in the NL East. The second place Atlanta Braves just lost their star third baseman, Austin Riley, for the remainder of the season. That's on top of being without last year's MVP, Ronald Acuna, for the season. Ace Spencer Strider for the season. Many more injuries. Michael Harris. We don't need to do a Atlanta Braves breakdown on this podcast. The point is, the division is over. It's time for the Phillies to get ready for the playoffs, get their starting rotations set in order for the divisional round. Why are you shaking your head? What is going to happen by you not acknowledging that the division's over? Explain how
is going to happen if I did acknowledge that.
What you acknowledge and don't acknowledge has no impact on the fact that it is over. Just be happy.
It's most likely over.
The last month and a half should be. It's over.
The Braves
it's
little
over.
Bit, but they're, for all intents and purposes, it's over.
Regarding this superstitious thing that you have going on here, let's just say for a second that you were right and you could jinx the Phillies. Someone can jinx the Phillies by saying a division's over. Look, it's ridiculous even saying that, but let's just say it for a second. It's kind of egotistical, don't you think, to think that it's what you, Brad Sistad, say. You jinx them. No one else, but it's you that jinx them. Don't you think that's a little...
I do. I do think that's a little, a little self-indulgent. But no, I just don't. I don't see it as much of a wrap as you guys do. So this past weekend, they had what I think was an 8 or 9 game lead over the Braves, which is great. And since then, they lost yesterday, and they are losing right now to the Braves. And they have another game tomorrow. If the Braves sweep them, then all of a sudden they're 4 games out. And I think that's still a fairly comfortable lead. And yeah, I think the odds and the percentages and statistics will tell you that the Phillies have a great shot to win the division. But to say that it's over, I don't believe. I don't think it's true. Even with all the injuries that they've had, like they were super injured last night and they won. They're super injured tonight. The lineup they're rolling out there, and they're winning. So it's not over. The Braves they're a very well-run organization. They've got a deep farm system. They've signed a couple of guys off the waiver wire that are contributing to them. Whit Merrifield had a really good night last night, triple and a double. He was like the worst Philly on the team this year. And of course he goes to the Braves and he is beating them. That's just how it goes. So I would say I still feel really good about their odds to win the division, but like to clap on August 21st and say that it's over is just not something I'm going to do.
At what point will you do it? If it's a 5-game lead with 15 left, will you say it's over? At what point, before actually being mathematically over, would you say? Because it's unofficially over. You know that. You just don't want to admit it.
Dude, you know how mad I'm going to be at you, like, if they end up blowing this, but so for me,
it will be my
personally,
fault for sure. I mean, there's no question about it. Me saying it.
Yes.
I'm that special of a person that I control what happens between the Phillies and the Braves the rest of the season. Yeah.
That's right.
So
well, to answer your question,
go ahead.
To answer your question, I would not celebrate prematurely under any circumstances. And it's just because it's been such a long time since the Phillies had won the division.
2011.
I'm just 2011, 13 years. Yeah. That's a long time.
How that season ended.
Yeah,
It's also
yeah.
been
So
it's
I'm just
also
not
been
gonna I'm not
since
gonna do it.
it's also been since 2015, I think, since the Braves didn't win. Is that correct? I
Right.
believe
Um.
that's accurate.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
So yeah, but the Braves have so many injuries. They're 6 games out, and they're just completely crushed by injuries.
Stick a fork in him. Yeah, it's
Okay.
done.
So
And they won the first game of the series, and they're winning the second game of the series. So we'll see. We lost them.
to wrap this up, the Phillies won the division. You only don't want to say it because you're superstitious. For some reason, you think something that you say or I say is going to impact the division. Was how absurd that is. I think you really truly know how absurd that is. But anyway, it's okay. We can move on. Our next segment is something that we're going to do every week now. We don't have a name for it. I'm going to make it up right now. Are you okay with that? Can I make it up?
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
All right.
Sure.
Let's make fun of New York sports fans. So Brad Sistad's going to come with either of New York fans that he found on X, and we're going to discuss, mock,
Are they still called
explain.
tweets, or what are they called? X posts.
What do X's? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they're actually called tweets, and because
Yes.
that's better. And we're gonna maybe even well, not you. I may actually defend some of these. And let me say that today and every episode, I will not be privy to what the tweets are. I have no idea what these are,
Yes.
but I'm
Yep.
ready.
You ready?
Kick it off.
All
It's
right.
all you.
All right. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give you the runner-up. So this is not the winner. So let's just say, to give some context, over the past few days, the Yankees have they lost a close series to the Tigers in Detroit. People are not happy. People are very upset at Aaron Boone, and they're very upset at Clay Holmes. Seems to be in the crossfire right now. So the runner-up comes to us from our good friend at Rich Muncie. His name on Twitter is Captain of YT, which I guess means like Yankee Town or something, and in parentheses, Vegas chapter. His profile picture is a black and white picture of Aaron Judge, like a close up of Aaron Judge's face. Okay.
That's his profile
So
picture.
his profile
All
picture
right.
is, yes, close up,
He likes that.
black and
So
white, and it's
he
like a
is.
mean looking
Yeah.
picture. It's like Aaron
All right.
Judge's face in this picture is very serious. So like this guy
He's a
is
serious fan.
dead serious. Serious fan, very knowledgeable, obviously. Like not unhinged at all. So
Listen to
so
the tweet. I'm ready. You built
okay.
this guy up
So
enough.
so here it is. Turn in
Look, you can't even get through it.
yeah, I can't even get it out. Ready?
Collect
Turn
yourself and
in
read it.
your all right, okay. I got it. Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Turn in your resignation at Aaron Boone. This fan base is completely fed up with you and the decisions you make. You keep sticking with the players that aren't getting the job done. This team won't do a damn thing in October. No chance.
Okay. All right. So
Again, go ahead.
I'm
Your
trying
reaction
to. I'm
to
trying to.
Captain of YT, Vegas chapter.
So I'm trying to think of like which way to go about this because there's many ways. I'm gonna just if you just let me just bear with me while I just go through a couple thoughts here.
Sure.
First off is obviously that take is ridiculous. No chance. Like it's just but to
No
be fair,
chance, dude. Turn in your resignation.
and what he's doing, and I brought this up in episode 1, and I'm telling you, this is going to come up in every single episode because it's so true. How I was talking about how society, sports fans, and sports culture resembles society, and then like multiplied, just by I don't just on a multiplier, which is just it's just more and more ridiculous. It's exaggerated. I think is what I said in episode 1. So this emotional need to blame someone. That's what I brought up. It's happening here. He's a Yankee fan, diehard Yankee fan. Sounds like very serious. Watches the game, see blow game after game after game. He leads Major League Baseball in blown saves, and he's frustrated. He's angry, and what does he do? He wants to blame Aaron Boone because Aaron Boone needs to do something about the closer. He needs to change the closer. He needs to do this. He needs to do that. Instead of just recognizing what the issue is and calmly thinking, well, what is a resolution at this point? Because the truth is, Aaron Boone doesn't have that many options. But now I do want to talk about Clay Holmes.
Well, hold on. I think this is a newer X post here. I believe that this is a reaction to last night's game against Cleveland, whereas I'm not entirely familiar with the situation, but apparently the lineup is not as good, and he's bringing guys off the bench that are better than guys in the actual line.
Okay. Yeah. So okay. So I'll touch on the lineup thing. The lineup card, like the order of the lineup, who's in, guys, who's benched, who gets day off. That's like such an easy thing for fans to get upset about. The truth is we have no idea who's feeling sick, who has some injury, who is dealing with something in their personal life. We have no idea why someone's getting a day off. We do not know. There could be a lot of reasons, but the manager, a good manager, and Aaron Boone, the manager that he is, a player-friendly manager, will always protect his players and never disclose information like that. He never does it. He protects his players. His priority is protecting his players over himself. He understands fans kill him. He goes on the Talking Yanks pod and does the interview, and they destroy him to his face. Like, why do you do this? Why do you do that? So I think regarding lineups, it's an easy thing to be upset about. You post, if you're on RotoWire, maybe you're checking it on Twitter, and you see that lineup comes out and you get upset. And I'll tell you, usually there's a reason they have the lineup the way they have it. They may not be wrong. They may not be right. They may be wrong.
I disagree with you. You said usually, like, there's always a reason why.
Always.
They have the lineup the way they have it. Like the manager's not going to put he's not going to put a worse lineup out there.
Well,
unless there's a legitimate reason.
You're right. It's always there is always a reason. That doesn't necessarily mean that the reasons they're right, but their intention is to be right and to do what's best for the team. That doesn't necessarily mean they're always right. So we can actually talk about that sometimes. But in general, the order of the lineups on a daily basis in a 162 game season, there's just so much unknown. It's just too much to get upset about. Now, I did want to talk about the Clay Holmes thing.
Okay. So, do you want me to read the winner?
So the winners are more because you mentioned Clay Holmes before. So you mentioned read the winner. Read the winner. Go.
All right. So the winner. So this is basically in direct response to the game on Sunday. So Yankees are
Tigers.
They up 2-1? Yes. Are they up 2-1 going into the ninth, or is it tied 2-2?
They were winning 2-1 going into the ninth.
They were winning 2-1
against the Tigers. So the Little League World Series Park.
Yes. So Clay Holmes blows the save. They lose the game. All right. So this one comes to us from, now this is just sound reasoning logic. I mean, this is as good as it gets here. So this one comes to us from at the Force 1957, and his tweet is as follows: "The season is over for the Yankees." Over, all capital. "They didn't get a big name reliever, which they desperately needed. Cashman and Boone should both be gone after this year, especially once Soto walks. Then we will need to start the rebuild and trade Judge and Cole because we are wasting their primes."
You know what's funny here? He can't just be upset. He can't just tweet about the things that are upset, like when Soto walks, like something like the fact that he has to throw it in.
Yes, what does Holmes blowing a save have to do with Soto's upcoming free agency?
It has to do. This guy has a negative feeling about the team, so that means this bad thing happens. I'm mad. I'm upset. So that means everything's going to be horrible. I'm surprised he didn't even throw in like the Judge is going to get hurt or something.
Well, he said to trade Judge because they're wasting his prime.
Yeah, and Cole, right? That's what he said.
Yes, of course. because that's what you do. You know?
Yes, yeah. Your closer blows a save. Trade your best player.
That's right. That's right. Mind you. Hold on. I just want people to know, for people who maybe lean more Philadelphia than New York, this is a team who is maybe a game behind for the best record in baseball. The best
Okay.
in baseball.
All right,
And
we get it.
like, right, is the closer struggling? Sounds like it. But like,
all right.
you
We
know,
get it. We get it though. The Yankees are in pretty good standings. Are having a good season overall. We get it. Okay, but there's
a
more
great
to
season
this story.
overall.
There's more to this though. Like there's much more to this story. To be fair, that tweet and that take can be ridiculous, while it also being true that the Yankees have a Clay Holmes problem. So two things can be true. We can acknowledge Clay Holmes in the ninth inning has been an issue and is very concerning going forward, while also saying that, but that guy tweeted is absurd. Like we could say these two things. It's okay.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
one or the other.
While also saying that the Yankees are in the middle of having a great season.
Yeah, but if you're going to say that, then you should give the context of how they've been sitting the last 2.5 months. So anyway, regarding Clay Holmes, there's a few things that I have. I just pulled them up on Fangraphs and Baseball Savant. His traditional stats overall very good. He had like a 1.5 ERA for the first up basically from April, May, middle of June. Since the middle of June, his ERA is over 5. So
Wow.
he's not been good. His Baseball Savant metrics look good. Ground ball rate's 100 percentile, meaning that he is the best pitcher in Major League Baseball at inducing ground balls. Do you know why that's good?
Double plays.
Well, yes, but when the ball is being hit on the ground, what can't happen?
I don't know. What?
They can't hit home runs.
Oh, yeah.
Makes sense, right? So,
Yeah.
so because of that, his
I thought it was a
expected
trick
ERA
question.
Not a trick question at all. His expected
Okay,
ERA,
yeah.
which takes into account contact percentage, quality of contact, he's at 90. He's in the 92nd percentile. So only 8% of major league pitchers are better than him in terms of expected ERA. His strikeout and walk rates are in the 70th percentile, so it's good for any regular pitcher. But for like a closer, a high end reliever, that's not that good. Like you want your high end reliever to be a high K guy because you don't want to take as much of the flukiness and randomness that can happen in the ninth inning as possible. And to do that, you don't let the ball get in play. So he doesn't give up homers, obviously, like we talked about, because he induces a lot of ground balls. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, which was a big problem for him early in his career when he was with Pittsburgh. The Yankees have completely corrected that. But he's a ton of movement on his sinker slider sweeper combo. Really good. I mean, his slider and sweeper have been elite pitchers. His sinker has actually taken a step back this year. It's been elite the last couple of years. But a couple of things stand out to me with him is, I'm looking at these metrics right now, and it's just, they look great. But as a closer, you typically want a big strikeout guy. I think that's the big thing, and he's not that. So he throws his sinker 55% of the time, and it only has a 19% whiff rate. He's intentionally inducing contact by throwing his sinker so much. So the Yankees, the reason why that's a problem is the Yankees' infield defense is bad. Volpe's great. Outside of Volpe, the infield defense is horrible. The Yankees are bad at controlling the run game. Their catchers aren't good. The team isn't good at a whole. Clay Holmes makes this worse because he has a very slow delivery. So what happens is he comes in the ninth inning, 1-run game, low margin for error, right? He gives up a ground ball through the shortstop third base hole, runner on first. That base runner is on either he's fast and steals second, or he gets pinch run and then the pinch runner steals second. Runner on second. Next guy, strikeout. Next guy, ground out. Next guy, ground ball for the first base, second base hole. The game's tied, blown save. And that's happened time and time again. So it's not why. So yes, the Yankees have a Clay Holmes problem. They do. Is right about Clay Holmes. Like, it's an issue. He's wrong about almost everything else he said, but
Well,
now,
hold on.
yeah,
This guy didn't mention Clay Holmes at all in that
I
tweet.
thought I thought,
No,
why am I
no.
read the tweet
Well,
again?
he said so. He said they didn't get a big name reliever, which they
Yes,
desperately needed.
yeah, yes.
Is what
So
he
he
said.
did, yeah, yes. So yeah, so he's
Okay, you're right.
upset that the
Yeah,
Yankees didn't
he didn't
replace Clay
mention.
Holmes.
Yeah,
The Yankees have a Clay Holmes. They have a closer problem. Now, what you could I wanted them to get a high end dominant K reliever too. You can't control who's available. You can't control the return that the teams want. But the question is, what do the Yankees do about this from here?
and
So
also, I mean, from what you're saying, the trade deadline was what, mid-July, right?
yeah, end of
So
July,
up until
end of
that
July.
end of July, okay. So up
Yeah.
until that point, he was still, this has been recent, right? As of the past month, where
No,
he's really had these struggles, or
no,
no?
he's been bad since the middle of June.
Okay.
Since like June 13th or 15th, something like that, he's like over 5 ERA. It's been a problem.
So he,
And
okay.
and it's not the Yankees infield defense and their inability to control the running game has been an issue all season. So these aren't new issues for most of the season now. Also, the one thing I also notice, because I have come across a lot of Yankee fans being very upset about Clay Holmes, very upset about Boone, very upset about like this guy is about Cashman in the front office for not replacing him. Look, we don't know who was available. We don't know what the asking price was. The thing about the playoff format is the new playoff format. So almost every team is in it. So very few teams are selling. So everybody talks about this seller's market. Every
Yeah.
year is going to be a seller's market. So
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to do? You're going to give up, like, what do you want to give up? Jason Dominguez for a closer and increase your chance of winning a World Series by like 2%? Like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
willing to do? And that's a tough thing and I think that's something that has to be taken into account. Regarding how upset Yankee fans are about Clay Holmes and you mocking how, where they are in the standings, they lost they're upset about blowing the Yankee fans get very upset when they see blown saves. And think about it, they had Mariano Rivera for 17 years. He was the most reliable pitcher in the history of baseball. His career whip was one. His Let me pull this up. His career batting average against was 209. Clay Holmes' whip this year is 1.30. Like that's significantly higher. His average against is 258. Like so they're not used to this. After the 17 years of Rivera, they had David Robertson, Andrew Miller, Aroldis Chapman, and even a great Rafael Soriano year. So the Yankee fans have experienced elite closers, lockdown late game bullpen for the last almost 30 years now. So context, most Yankee fans aren't used to this. They're not seeing a reliever come in and blow 10 saves. It's very frustrating for them because they're not used to it. So does that explain it a little bit better? Or no, not for you.
I think it does. I think that adds some pretty good context. But I think that's a really good point that you made about just the new playoff format. Yeah, people aren't going to be easily as gettable as they have been in years past. There's going to be so many other teams
Yeah.
looking for high-end relievers. The Phillies got one. They gave up a decent package for him, nothing crazy, but they were in a similar situation where they haven't really had a closer for a couple of years now. So, but the difference between
Phillies got Estevez from the
yeah,
Angels,
mm-hmm.
who was having a very good season. How's he been so far with the Phillies? I haven't really checked.
Yeah, so he's been okay. He did blow a save the other day against the Nationals. They were up 2-0 going into the ninth inning. He gave up 2 runs, and then they made pretty quick work. They ended up winning the game. They made quick work in the bottom of the ninth inning. But he seems to have stuff. That's kind of what I look for in my relief pitchers is, does this guy throw hard? Does he locate? And does he have that one, off-speed pitch that's going to make guys just swing and miss? Like a lot of Phillies fans are down on Alvarado right now. I love Alvarado. I've always been a really big fan of his because, I mean, yeah, does he walk a lot of guys? Yeah, he does. But he throws really hard, and he's got really good stuff. So you kind of, you take the good with the bad. Relief pitchers
Yeah,
are weird, man. They seem to be really streaky. Like it's funny. You could have a guy with an ERA, in the fours as a reliever, but like the first 3 months of the season he hadn't given up a run, and then he went like 3 straight games with giving up 2 runs, and now his ERA is really high. So you just can't really go based
yeah,
on that with relievers.
it's true.
So
This isn't also regarding the closer thing. This isn't just an issue for the Yankees. I mean, the Dodgers have gone through 3 or 4 closers this year. The Orioles just demoted Craig Kimbrell from the closer role. You know who replaced him, by the way?
I do.
Sir
Sir
Anthony.
Anthony Dominguez. They are just filtering through old Phillies relievers. He's another guy. I was always a
Yeah.
big
So
Sir Anthony fan.
yeah, he's good. Regarding the trade deadline stuff, I think to be a little bit more critical on the Yankees and some of the teams that are trying to win a championship like the Dodgers, you should understand the off season that the trade deadline is not like what it used to be, and you need to come into this season with a more complete roster. You can't just say we like this, this, and this. We're a little iffy about this, this, and that, but we can always plug and play at the deadline. Um, you can't do that anymore. You can't rely on deadline to plug pieces. It's not that kind of trade deadline anymore. Unless you're going to really be willing to overpay, and then why would you? And you should never put yourself in a position where you have to overpay. So teams should really, like the Yankees and Dodgers and teams like that are trying to win a championship. They should do more in the off season so that you don't have to be in this situation at the deadline.
Yep, I totally agree. And yeah, Cashman should definitely be fired and never work again. Not in New
You're
York,
never going
anyway.
to get Yankee. The teams that be lining up to hire him. You're never going to get Yankee fans to stop complaining about Cashman. Like even if they win a World Series, give it another year and a half or a full year, and they'll be complaining about Cashman again. They'll say, "Oh, he got lucky."
Of course, yeah.
He made the trade for so.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
And I
Wouldn't
think
wouldn't it be so funny if we ended up like if it was a friggin' Phillies Yankees World Series this year?
it's possible.
It's very possible. That'd be great.
The
Be
Phillies
great for
already won the
content.
division,
We would
so
blow
they're
up.
already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You like the new playoff format or no?
Um, I think I'm. I think I'm. I think. I think. I'm a little bit of this might surprise you. I'm a little bit of a traditionalist in terms of I liked how baseball's regular season mattered a lot. And it matters less now. But I also think it's great for all the teams that wouldn't be in it. So I think overall it's good for the game, which is why they give us more money. It's the other reason, probably the main reason. But
Mm-hmm.
I think overall it's good. Teams have a chance. As a Yankee fan, it's makes it even harder to win. Um, but yeah, I think overall it's good. But as it's still I'm still getting used to it. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel pretty similar to you. I mean, more playoff baseball is always just so much more fun. Like I really enjoyed the wild card series the past 2 years. So I think that's great. But yeah, I totally see where the regular season just totally doesn't really matter anymore. And yeah, it can definitely like derail a team, like just take the Braves the past 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Losing to the wild card Phillies, especially 2 years ago. The Phillies, like again, they barely snuck in. It's like the second to last day of the season, and they ended up like kicking the crap out of the Braves. And the Braves had like an awesome season that year, and you know they ended up not advancing any further. So that whole regular season that they just had really kind of just went out the tubes.
Yeah, no, I know but again, like yeah, and I think that's the teams that are vying for this third wild card spot that would be out of it right now. Like all these fans would be tuned out, wouldn't be going to the games, wouldn't be watching. So overall, that's why it's good. That's why it's good. So we all had put together a top 5 current New York and Philadelphia athletes list. To clarify, this is New York and Philly sports combined, all the teams, and we had top 5 currently. Other than that, the criteria was pretty much up to our determination. So, do you want to start, or do you want me to go first?
So what do you want to like go 5-1? Do you want to like
1 through 5.
reveal
Ooh, 5-1. No, let's go. Let's go 1 to 5. Let's go 1 to
1 to
5.
5? So do
Yeah.
you want like you want to do my one, you do your one, or like
No,
I'll just rip through my 1 through 5?
you rip through your 1 through 5.
Okay.
Now, explain? You could explain each one as
Sure.
you do them, but yeah, you go first. You go through your 1 through 5.
I agree. All right.
So.
So my kind of the way that I put this together is I think the first thing is that the team has to be relatively good, right? Like I'm sure there are some great players on the Islanders and, the Mets and the Devils and you know what I mean. But you have to be relatively good at, your
The
team
Mets
has
are
to be
relatively good.
what'd you say?
The Islanders are relatively the Islanders and the Mets are relatively good.
Sure, but they have to be okay. So maybe they have to be just actually good instead of relatively good,
You just
right?
didn't want to. You just didn't look. You didn't include any Islanders and Mets. It's okay.
I didn't include the Islanders and Mets, no. But I also, yeah,
How
this
about the New
is
Jersey teams? How about the Devils? Any Devils?
no. So this is it's
No
really
Devils.
hard to
Okay.
do just because there's so many teams, there's so many really good athletes in both of these cities right now. So yeah, team has to be really good, and then I just kind of go
Don't do
based
that.
off
Don't do that.
of like obviously talent and skill, dominance, and just importance, right? Importance of winning, a big thing for me. And I always do this when I do like MVP rankings. I know this is kind of like not super analytical. It's like a little simple way of looking at it, but the way that I view it is how good would this team be if you were not there? So that's kind of my premise. So
Yeah, to me, MVP. The way a player can be valuable is by increasing the team he plays for, and this isn't a team sport, of course. Uh, Increasing the team he plays for's chances of winning a game, chances of making the playoffs, chances of winning a championship. In order to increase the team's chances, his individual performance has to be good. So the better his individual performance, the better chances or odds the team has of winning a particular game or just success in general. Whether the team wins or loses is a team result. All one individual can do is impact the chances the team has of winning. That's how I look at it. But that's MVP. I didn't even view this as MVP anyway. But to me, it's best players and MVP is similar. But
yeah, I think it's pretty similar, but that's just how I do it, right? Obviously, all that stuff goes without saying, right? Are you negatively, how much impact are you providing to your team? So, but I think the
okay,
biggest thing, yeah, I think the most important thing is also like importance, right? Importance of position, and I guess we'll get we'll get to the list in a second, but like there are people on the Eagles who I think are probably better at their position than certain people I may or may not have put on my list, but I just don't think that they impact the game as much because their just position just kind of left them out of it a little bit.
okay, okay.
So, but with that being said, still really hard to whittle down. I actually think the top four were relatively easy, and the fifth
I
spot was
agree completely.
really up for grabs.
That's
So my
exactly what I was
first,
going to.
yeah, they're very interchangeable. So my number one athlete within both cities is gold medalist, former MVP, Joel Hans Embiid. I think I think he's awesome. I think he does everything
I
on the
think he's
floor
awesome.
extremely well. I do. I think no,
No,
he's
he
general.
is. No,
He's
he is awesome.
generational. He is the
He
best
he
player.
is. He is. It's just
in my
Just funny that the
lifetime that
first
I've ever seen on the seven. I
he's
think
incredible.
he gets the nod over some other people on my list because basketball, just there's only 5 positions. Your impact is that much greater on the court.
Okay.
And I think that he obviously he is elite at everything on a basketball court. Maybe he's not an elite rebounder. He's a good rebounder. He's not elite, but he's obviously just an scoring machine. His passing has come a very long way over the past couple of years. He's obviously one of the best defenders in the league.
For sure.
And he does them both at a really high level. And, he's
Everything
great.
you're saying about Embiid is right. I'm
Yes.
going to, when I do my list, I'm going to talk negative. But keep
Okay.
going.
No, I mean, I think that's it. I'm guessing your negative is going to be that he's not a winner and that he can't do it in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's going to be my negative. No, go. Keep going with your list.
Oh, sure.
Go to number 2.
Number 2 on my list is Aaron Judge. I mean, this guy's just an absolute menace.
Good choice.
I think everything that I just said about Joel Embiid can be said about Aaron Judge. He's great at everything. The only reason why I put Embiid over him is, again, just it's harder for a baseball player to impact the game as much as it is a basketball player because he's only one of 9. He can only make defensive plays when the ball is hit to him. He only gets X amount of at bats per game. And it's easy, not easy, but like if the pitcher decides to pitch around him because they got whoever in the lineup behind him, like it's pretty easy to do that, to kind of negate his strengths. But yeah, he's one of the best baseball players I've ever seen in my lifetime. I couldn't believe that he had already hit 300 home runs. Like when I saw that the other day, I was like, holy shit, is this right? But I guess it makes sense. I mean, he had that 60 something home run season and, he's been at it for what, 6, 7, 8 years at this point. So,
Well, if he didn't get injured a couple of seasons and they didn't have that short in 2020 season, he would have hit 300 homers 3 years ago.
yeah, that's insane.
Quickest
what
to-
is, dude,
quickest
what
to
is
do
he
it
on
in
pace
games
for?
played.
Because he's still relatively young, right? He's not 30 yet,
30,
is he?
32. He's 32.
Is he really? Oh, he is? Okay.
He started. I think he broke in at like 27 or whatever. 24. It's 24. I think.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
but based on your criteria, I don't understand how Judge is number 2. Because based on your criteria, impact, there's both. There's 3 quarterbacks. There's 3 football teams. The quarterbacks impact the games more. The basketball teams, the Sixers have 3 players that impact the game more than Judge does. Based on your criteria, I don't see how Judge is on this list.
Well, I think the most important thing on my criteria is just your skill level, and your dominance. And I don't think that highly of the 3 quarterbacks in the city right now. I think Daniel Jones he's horrible. I think Jalen Hurts is serviceable, and I think Aaron Rodgers was great. And we'll see. We'll see if he is still great. I mean, he hasn't played a lot of football over the past couple of years.
But
He's learning a whole
Jalen
new.
Hurts last season impacted the Eagles more than Aaron Judge impacts the Yankees right now. I mean, it's a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, impact is, maybe I misspoke, but impact is one of the things. Like, the main thing is your dominance, right? How great are you? Your skill level. The other is how much do you impact winning? Again, for example, like I think Lane Johnson is elite at what he does, and he's been doing it forever. But he didn't crack my list because he's a right tackle, and he can be kind of schemed around. If you're a defensive coordinator, you're going to send your blitz packages to the other side of the line, right, where Lane Johnson is not. So, yeah, I think that the impact is kind of the difference maker, the kind of the final straw, if you will. Like, all these things are so close that that's just one thing that I'll
I see.
use to
Okay,
differentiate a little bit.
I got it. It's one of your factors. It's not the.
It's
Fair enough.
not the end all be all, right? Because then,
All
it
right.
would
So
be
yeah.
the quarterbacks and then the point guards.
So you have the point guards. Uh, so you have Embiid and Judge. Who's number 3?
Embiid and Judge. Number 3 is Jalen Brunson. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. This guy is an absolute killer. It sucks watching him just destroy your team. At the same time, I really like him. He's a fun player to watch. Seems just like a real, like, good kid, like somebody that you'd want, I've got 2 young boys. Like, I always kind of think now, like, hey, who do I want? Who do I want my kid to look up to as he starts to enjoy sports and watch sports? I really loved Allen Iverson. Maybe he probably wasn't the best role model for a 10-year-old kid. Guys like Jalen Brunson and Maxey, like they're just awesome. I think what he does is so impressive. Just his control for the game, his playmaking, just the ability in like a very. I always find it really impressive when guard, especially a small guard, can just get wherever he wants on the floor, and really just do whatever he wants. It's
Yeah.
Peyton Manning-esque. He just kind of does what he wants, and he doesn't have to overwhelm you with athleticism to do it. Everything is very surgical and methodical, and it's really, really fun to watch. It's really cool. Now, the only reason why I probably would have him number 2 based on my criteria, but he's obviously not a good defender. So it's right. It's not his fault. He's a small guard. So
Yeah.
what?
It's his weakness. He's a bad defensive player. There's no question.
Right.
He is.
Right.
I
But
love
everything
him.
else
He's
again,
awesome.
I think his skill and just the way he impacts the game and makes his teammates better, I think is super impressive. And it really sucks that he's on the Knicks.
I haven't had a player to root for like this. I mean, Melo was awesome, but not on this level.
Well, also
Okay,
the biggest
so
thing about him, hold on, the biggest thing about him is that he can handle New York,
yeah, he can handle New York.
the
Hey,
Mecca. I mean,
in all seriousness, though, forget about handling New York. Like I know, like obviously you're joking, but he has done. You cannot do a better job at making these crazy fans adore you. Like this new contract extension a year earlier for going what could have been 115 million more, like all that. Like he and like just the fact that he's not big, not athletic, like he does, and the way he plays, the way he talks and post games, he has his podcast. He could not. He's writing a playbook on. He's very Derek Jeter like in how he's going about
masterclass. Yeah.
masterclass for sure, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
Great.
and then it's funny because he is like his best friend Josh Hart just like says like the most random crazy stuff, doesn't care at all, no filter, um, and everyone just loves him for it. But I think be, probably because they're winning, but also because there's the combination of them makes people not care when Hart says something crazy because he says some ridiculous things
Yeah.
like
And
when
he's
he
a big
said "f
Eagles
you" to
fan, so
Judge.
that bumps him up a notch on my top 5 list.
Brunson is a Eagles fan. Yes. So your top 3 are all in my top 5. Not necessarily in the same order, but so all right, I'm ready for number 4. If I had to guess, I think I know what it is.
Number 4 is Mr. Juan Soto. Um, I really hate Juan Soto
Why?
because of his years on the Nationals. I mean, I hated having to go up against this guy 18 times a year when you're a Phillies fan. I mean,
Yeah,
the
how
guy's
dare he try
unbelievable.
to
You know what I mean? It's sports hate,
play
dude. Come
baseball?
on. Dude, shut up. You know what I mean, dude. If someone is really good on a team that you play all the time, yeah, it's fucking annoying and like it sucks. And like you just want to get this guy out and you can't. And he's just amazing. His at bats, I'm just so happy. I just remember like when he would come to the plate, his at bats and his stupid. Does he still do that thing where like
The shuffle.
If
the
someone
soda
throws
shuffle.
a
Yes, he does the
ball,
soda
he
shuffle.
he'll like step
The soda
forward
shuffle.
out of the batter's box and like he like makes this face at the pitcher. So it's just so annoying. I don't know why he does it, but does he still do that? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, it's called the soda shuffle.
Oh God, the Soto shuffle, please. But I mean, yeah, there's no. I mean, he's just so good. Yeah, his at bats are just so impressive to watch. The power, the patience. It's just one of the best hitters I've ever seen in my life. Lefty. I mean, he's just awesome. The only reason why he's not higher on the list is because he just doesn't. He's not quite as good as of a defender.
He's a
As
bad
Aaron
defensive
Judge.
player.
What'd you say?
He's a bad defensive player.
Okay. So I didn't realize that he was bad. I thought he was like league average, but still.
This year he's been closer to league average. Like I think his defensive WAR is like -1. His outs above average or like slightly below the average. But historically, yeah, he's been a bad outfielder, and he's also not a good base runner. But when you hit like Ted Williams, it's okay.
Right. Yeah. All right. And to round out the top five, are you ready? Do you have a guess as to who my number 5 player
Do you
is?
want me to guess? You really want me to guess?
Sure.
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown is correct. You know me well. Wow.
That's my top. That's my number 5 also.
Is it really? Wow, we have the exact
Yep.
same. I
Well,
am
the order's different. The order's different.
Okay. Yeah, I am just a huge fan of AJ Brown. He is the best Eagles receiver of my lifetime. You know, we had T.O. for a year, and it was a really good year, but, you know, AJ Brown's been here. This is going to be his third year, and I don't see any reason why it won't be really good, barring any injury. The guy's he's just a monster. I think he's as close to a perfect wide receiver that you can get. He's really big. He's really strong. He's fast. He's got really strong hands. He's a great route runner. He makes guys miss. He runs people over. Like he
Yep.
does everything that you could possibly want in a wide receiver. And I think, I think he's up there. You know, there's just so many good wide receivers in the NFL right now.
He's
It's
among
like
the
he's
best.
among the best. Yeah, I mean, if there's no Tyreek Hill or Jamar Chase in the NFL, he's right up there with those guys. But yeah, he's just absolute monster. Just so thrilled that he's on the Eagles, and just a super fun player to root for. But yeah, he's just again that's what I was kind of saying. Like again, there were so many guys that you could have put in that fifth spot. You know, you've got
Yep.
you know, some people might put Maxey there. I definitely wouldn't, but Maxey, Paul George, you know, Zach Wheeler, I really thought about putting in there. Jalen Carter is another really good player, but he kind of, you know, still young. You know, he had a good start to last year, but hasn't quite done it. You know, not a large enough sample size for me. Zach Wheeler, Bryce Harper, obviously, Real Muto's up there. You know, Garrett
Philadelphia
Cole.
players. There you go.
What'd you say?
I said you're just naming Philadelphia players. And then you named Cole, so you're good. Are we good?
I think I lost it. Did you say I was only naming Philadelphia players?
And then you named Garrett Cole.
Yes. Yeah, I was just rattling off Philly players, but yeah, Garrett Cole, um, Igor's awesome, right? I mean, come on,
Yeah,
the
I mean, I
Prince.
agree. I do think number 5 was very tough. I think any of those players you mentioned, plus a bunch of other guys, could be in there. I think. I mean, there's some. I think there's a lot, like Artemi Panarin and Adam Fox. I don't want to give away my list. I know I kind of already did, right? Yeah, I did.
You did, yeah.
Yeah,
Sauce Gardner,
Lane
Garrett
Johnson.
Wilson, Brees Hall, Saquon
Yeah.
Barkley. Like, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a
Yep.
lot of dudes.
Lindor. But
Aaron Rodgers.
I actually have Aaron Rodgers on my honorable mentions list. My honorable mentions list, by the way, I have Rodgers, I have Trey Turner, Sorokin, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Quinnen Williams, Devontae Smith, Julius Randle, Mikael Bridges, Schwarber, Nola, Carter Hart. honorable mentions. Not really close to number being in the conversation for 5, but like if we were doing like a top like 20, top 25, those guys would be there.
Yeah. So why don't you give your kind of walk us through your reasoning
Yep.
for that, and then I actually have Rich Muncie, the guy from the runner up from Tweet of the Week. I have his top 5. I
His
have his
top
top 5 athletes. What?
That is, how did you acquire his top 5?
Yeah, so I reached out to him, just DM'd him, and said, "Hey, I run a podcast. He's like, you're a big, knowledgeable sports fan. Who do you think are your top 5 athletes within the two cities?" So after you give your reasonings, I'll rattle off Rich's top 5. It'll be great.
Oh, that is awesome. I'm so happy you did that. That's amazing. All right, I'll give mine, and then we want to hear his, because that's the real star of the show. So, all right. So to start off, number 1, I have Aaron Judge. My criteria isn't when I was so I don't look at impact. I wasn't comparing impact from sport to sport, because to me I look at it and say, well, a quarterback's going to be impactful. Every NBA star is going to be the most impactful. I just look at it compared relative to other players within their sport, specifically at their position, but sport in general. So Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball. Outside of the non-human Shohei Ohtani, he's the best player in baseball. And because Ohtani's not pitching this year, Judge is currently the best player in baseball. I'm looking at his 2024 stats right now. I mean, he is a 9F4. That's Fangraphs WAR. That's second in MLB to Bobby Witt. He's a 217 weighted runs created plus. That means that's basically takes into account on base slugging with a multiplier for on base, and basically spits out the, if you're looking for one offensive statistic metric that takes everything into account, it's done on a scale of 100. So 217 means he's 117% better than the league average hitter. That is a top 5 or 6 WRC plus of all time. Of course, he has to finish the season there. That's first in MLB by a lot. He's first in OBP at 463. He's first in home runs, RBIs, slug, OPS, and he's third in batting average. He's hitting 330. I mean, he's doing all that. He's
Wow.
hitting
Your favorite
all this
stat.
power. He's hitting. He's my favorite stat is my favorite stat. But in all
Hold
seriousness,
on. How many RBIs does he have?
I couldn't tell you. I don't even want to look up how many RBI he has. But I'm glad you said RBI, not RBIs.
Oh, you know me, man.
Yes. The point is he leads in almost every offensive category. It's incredible. Last year he ran into that wall in LA, missed about 60 games, came back, wasn't fully healthy, had a banged up toe, still put up a F5 F4, a 173 WRC plus. So yeah, he was only 73% better than the league average hitter last year, and that's like his down year. He had 37 homers, missed 6 games. Played like 100 games. It's and then about his. I know I don't want to go too far back, but obviously his 22 season when he hit the 62. His WRC plus that year was 207. So he's actually better this year than when he hit 62 home runs by 10%. He also played a lot of center field like this year. So I'm actually surprised he's not, but given that you factored in impact, you know what? No. Even that you factor in impact, I'm still surprised that you would have specifically Joel Embiid ahead of him. I'll get to that in a second, though. I'm going to go right into
Well,
number 2.
I think what I missed is that Embiid plays in Philadelphia, which is a much easier place to play, and obviously it's
one less
much
media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that you have to give the nod to Judge there. Plays in New York, immense pressure. Yes, you're right.
Yes.
I'm officially changing my top 5.
New York fans are known to be tough, but Philly fans are known to be very peaceful, and they're just they're whatever. Come
That's
here,
right.
play. We'll love you no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
well, it's
Exactly.
only New York fans that get upset at players.
Hmm.
Jalen Brunson. All right. So his second season in the Knicks, his first, uh, sorry, in his second season as a starting point, the primary guy, the one who gets all the offense, all the offense goes through him, all the attention from opposing teams, especially when they had all these injuries to Randall and OG. This guy, like, I know you talked a lot about it, how incredible he is, how he gets to his spots. He's not that athletic. His footwork is incredible. But just to give you some stats, so he put up 28.7 points per game. That's fourth in the NBA. The idea that Jalen Brunson, a few years ago, people, when the Knicks signed him, the idea that people would think that he'd be fourth in the NBA in points per game is wild. He was fourth in the NBA in offensive win shares, eighth in overall win shares. So even with his bad defense, he's still eighth, sixth in value over replacement player, fourth in use, and then 10th in minutes played, showing his durability and reliability. He also shot 40% from three, was ninth in total assists, 12th in assists per game. He was amazing in the playoffs. He had a bad first couple of games, then put up 44 games, led the Knicks over your Sixers, and then he went in the offseason and signed this amazing contract. And he is going. And the Knicks have completely constructed the roster around him. They've got guys to space the floor, let him do work, guys that can defend, so he can do his thing on offense. And yeah, I think most people are finally coming around to the idea that this guy is a legitimate number one type star, a top 10 player in the league that can absolutely lead a team to a championship. I think people around the NBA are starting to really believe it. What do you think about that, by the way? Do you think that's true?
So I think just if you go back and look at history, it's pretty rare that a very small guard leads his team to a championship as the clear-cut best player. So obviously there's exceptions to the rule. Steph comes to mind, but
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I think that they've got as good a shot as anyone. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that it's just tough for a smaller guard to be so important, especially when you get to the playoffs. You're going to be playing all these big, long, athletic wings who, in theory, could be able to give him some problems. So we'll see.
The only one that really gave him problems was Kelly Oubre. The only one.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
I historically, you're right. I'm not sure if I think that's going to continue to be. That is something that I know that people like to say, and it has been true. It has been true for sure.
Well, it's still a wing dominant league, I think. And I mean, the good thing if you're a Knicks fan is you have a lot of good wings who aren't Jalen Brunson that can still help out in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. They constructed this roster around him with OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart. Hopefully, Julio plays a huge role. But they constructed the roster around him that makes up for his deficiencies, and by spreading the floor allows him to impact the game more. My number 3 is Juan Soto. And yes,
Oh, you're
if you have,
just a homer, man. You just hate Philadelphia, dude. Wow.
don't worry, I'm getting to my Philadelphia players. Yes, I know you had Embiid number 1. I don't have Embiid in my top 3. So, what do you think about this? Ready? You done shaking your
I'm
head? You
ready.
ready?
I'm ready. Yes.
What Dwayne Wade was to LeBron in Miami is what Juan Soto was to Aaron Judge.
Love it.
He is was Dwayne Wade this in the NBA at that time? Third, maybe fourth.
I mean, I'm sure he was up there. Yeah, off the top of my head, 10 years or so ago, he
Yeah.
was up there for sure.
So a little bit under the radar because he let LeBron be the guy. Rightfully so, by the way. But uh, this having a legendary Aaron Judge in batting behind him makes Soto like under the radar. I mean, this is a legendary hitter having his best season, and he's under the radar because of Judge. He currently has a 7.5 F4, third in Major League Baseball, behind Judge and Witt. A 190 weighted runs created plus, second behind Judge, who was 217. And of course, he's a 432 on base, which is second in Major League Baseball behind Aaron Judge. So,
good God, man.
The fact together is crazy. And the fact that they're together and the Yankees, like, rest of the lineups is bad is a missed opportunity. But we don't need to get too far into that right now. But it's
the fact that they're together, I mean, fire Cashman. I mean, what is he thinking putting these two together? What is wrong with him?
Well, you know what everyone's we already talked this earlier. Everyone's they just discredit. Oh, that was the obvious trade. That's what people say. But
come on. Okay. I know he's incredible. Again, glad that he is no longer on the Nationals.
If he leaves in free agency, the Twitter take segment is going to be amazing.
Oh my God.
And I hope it doesn't happen.
My God. I know. If they lose, if they don't win the World Series and he walks, will be
even if they
delicious.
do win and he walks, it's going to be wild.
Yeah.
You're going to get all the if George was here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Rolling in his grave.
So at number 4, I have Joel Embiid. Yeah, he's 4 for me. And I'm surprised he's so high for you because you want to talk about impact. Well, for me, reliability and durability is very important. Factor that in significantly. And Embiid would have an argument to be number 1 if that wasn't a factor. But do you know how many games? You probably do know this, but I'll give you a little Embiid trivia. Do you know how many games Embiid played last year?
Played like 35, something like that?
39.
39.
That's less than half the season, right?
Yes.
All right. Do you know the last time Embiid played 70 of the 82 games?
Maybe never.
It's a trick question. The answer is never. He's played 68 once. So, okay, some people might say.
And was that his MVP season?
Yes.
2022, yeah.
Yeah. So some people might say that, okay, he's taking it easy. They're always in the playoffs. The regular season doesn't matter, right? Get healthy for the playoffs, right? Would you say that? You're not going to say it because you know what's coming.
No, I actually wouldn't, because I think having a higher seed is really important, because if they had a higher seed, they probably wouldn't have played the Knicks last year, and who knows what happens if you get past that, that first round.
Absolutely true. They would not have played the Knicks. For sure. They might have been in the Knicks seed.
I was going to say they might have been the 2 seed, yeah.
The problem is that he regularly misses playoff games. And when he doesn't miss playoff games, he's clearly impacted by an injury that is preventing him from playing close to his full capability. This playoff series against the Knicks, he had some great games. But he was not himself. That was clear, especially on defense. Not even close. Rebounding, not even
absolutely.
close.
Absolutely. He's said as much. Probably not a great thing to hear the guy say, but yeah, I mean, he's pretty open about that. Very clearly, very, very clearly not right. Which makes that 50 piece that he put up in Game 3 all the more impressive,
Oh, it was, for sure. He was just making every shot. So, and with all this the negative things I'm saying about him, I still have him at number 4 because that speaks to just how amazing he is. I mean, I think what you said was, you were like, Embiid's number 1, and I was like, why? And you're like, he's amazing. But
I said he was awesome.
Oh, he was awesome. That's right. Yeah, I laughed at it, but it's absolutely true. So, 9 games this year, he scored 34.7 points per game. I mean, 34.7. That is ridiculous. He shot 53% from the floor. He shot 88% from the line. And you know how I said Brunson was 8th in total shares, win shares, and 10th in minutes played? Embiid in 39 games was somehow in the top 30 in win shares in 39 games. Like, how is that? It's really amazing. He's dominant inside. He's smooth from the outside. He does everything. On defense, he's protecting the rim, roaming around, protecting the rim, and then sprinting out to the 3-point line and contesting a 3-point catch and shoot. It's really like he's incredible when healthy, though. That's the key. And I can't have him at number 1 on this list because he misses way too many games. Going forward, I don't trust him to be healthy because he has chronic knee and back injuries, and he misses games in the playoffs. So I just can't have him higher up. But he's number 4. I can't have him below number 4 because he might be the best player in the NBA when he's healthy.
The knee stuff is real, and he's definitely been hampered like 2 or 3 playoffs with knee stuff. The year before last, so it was 2022, the year they lost to Miami. It was James Harden's first year there. They're on their way to beat the Toronto Raptors in the first round of the series. They're up, and Doc Rivers got crushed for this, but they were up. They were up really big in the closeout game. They're up like 20-something points with, maybe 5 or 6 minutes left to go. Pretty much out of hand at that point. And Pascal Siakam, who's like his really good friend, came in. He came to drive in, and he elbowed Joel Embiid in the face and broke his orbital bone. So he was done, not done, but he missed the first 2 games of the Miami series, and he came back came back too quick. Like he shouldn't have been out there with a broken face. So just that wasn't really his fault. I remember his first playoff run back, like Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz. There was 10 or 15 games left to go in the regular season, and he hit his face again on Markelle Fultz's shoulder, just like a weird fluky thing, and he ended up missing like the first 2 games of the playoffs and came back just not right. So he hasn't, he's obviously not the most reliable guy, but a lot of it is just kind of, I think there's been some weird fluky stuff in there too. So it's not like his I don't think his knees or his back are just falling apart. Like I don't think he's Greg Oden. Like that's how people talk about him. But yeah, it just sucks. You want to see this guy healthy for the playoffs. And one thing I just hate people say, I know you're too smart to fall into this, but like everybody always makes fun of him that he falls down all the time. They say, "Oh, look at Embiid, he's falling, he's flopping." It's like I want everyone to understand this. They tell him to do that to lessen the impact on his knees. So if you see him falling on the ground, he is doing it on purpose. He is not doing it to try to flop, although I'm sure there's some of that every now and again. He is doing it to lessen the impact on his knees because he's 7'2" and 280 pounds, and he weighs a lot, and it puts a lot of pressure on his joints. So I just hate when people say, "Oh, look at Embiid, he's flopping around." It's like just shut up. He is not. He's trying to prolong his career.
I I I've obviously noticed he falls, and I know you told me that people say this before. I don't really care that he falls. I would never really care so he falls. I don't think positively or negatively about it. But okay. I don't know. I believe that you see this.
Spread the word.
I won't spread the word. Like, he really cares. You're upset that people think he flops. Yeah. It's a fun little rant you went on there. I don't really care to really go into that much. So Embiid falls. All right. Let's move on then. My number 5 is also AJ Brown. Right. I already mentioned that. The top 4 was easy. I mean, the order we disagreed on, but we still had the same top 4. We even had the same top 5 actually. AJ Brown, 8th in receptions last year, 5th in receiving yards, PFF grade of 90. I really don't feel that strongly about AJ Brown here. I mean, especially if we're looking at like projecting for this season. I wouldn't be surprised if Garrett Wilson's better. I actually think Brees Hall's better, but I don't. I just don't feel great about putting a running back there just because he's so reliant on the offensive line and really the whole offense in general and game script. I also think Igor Shesterkin was really close for me. He is a top 3 goal in the NHL. If for Ranger fans out there or hockey fans that have watched the playoffs, I mean, the Rangers only had a chance because he was incredible against Florida, against Carolina. Not in the first round, but yeah, Igor is a top 3 goal in the league, so he was close for me. I know you're down Jalen Hurts. He had an incredible season 2 years ago. He was still very good last year. I feel like he's probably somewhere in the middle of that. Um, I had him close there. Zach Wheeler is very close. I thought even Saquon Barkley, Garrett Wilson were close. Sauce Gardner might be the best cornerback in the league. Lane Johnson among the best. I know you said because the way you looked at it is because he gets schemed around, which is a good point. I also even think like key players, Artemi Panarin, Jack Hughes, Adam Fox are close, and then Bryce Harper. Congratulations to the Phillies. Looking forward to Brad Dowie's top 5. Looking forward to Rich's top 5. Next week we'll actually on episode 3 we'll get into that as well. But anyway, everyone, thanks for listening and watching for episode 2. Give us a like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Sports and culture all in one. Catch the fire, feel the fun. Andrew, Sis, that Brad unite. Philly and Y in the spotlight.